Welcome, everyone. This is Glenda Dawson and L.D, and you are watching Glenda's Dragon's Den. Glenda's Dragon's Den is coming to you live on the Conscious Awakening Network on Roku TV, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, and many other streaming platforms. Hope you guys are staying safe. Here in Pennsylvania, we have a lot of the smoke that's unfortunately coming from all the wildfires in
Our
Canada.
guest has been kind enough to send us smoke signals.
Yes. So stay safe
You can stop now.
and be careful out there, everyone, no matter where you are. And we have a great guest right now, Bryan John Laverty. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. And I just want to point out
Yes.
that I have nothing to do with those fires.
I don't know, pal. I mean, I'm straight, but you're pretty hot.
You know what? I'm looking outside right now, and it's like I can see the smoke, and but in fact, it's about a 7-hour drive from where I am, where these fires are happening.
Wow.
So again, I'm sorry for everybody in the States that we're sending smoke signals to the States.
That's all right. You know, people will just blame who they want, and hopefully, people will wake up to global, climate change. And
Canada gets blamed for everything.
Like honestly, we get blamed for everything. No, I mean, let's face it.
I mean, usually it's me. That's why I got such big shoulders. But I can handle it. I can handle it.
Yeah, they're running pretty crazy. I think the last I heard there's 400 separate fires going on right now. So I don't even know how you can control that, to be honest. Like, we need some rain.
Yeah.
We need some rain big time. And once that rain hits, it will stop the smoke from going over to the States. And again, I will apologize for Canada that we're sending all that smoke to you guys.
So tell us about yourself.
Oh, tell me about that's a loaded question. That's a real loaded question.
Well, I told you I should have gotten loaded before I came on.
Yeah, that's a loaded question. Where do I even begin? I guess for the paranormal, for me personally, it really began when I was about 9 or 10 years old. I actually am considered a sensitive, and when I was 9 or 10, I could actually see the spirit. I can't see facial features and I can't hear them, but I can definitely tell if it's a man or a woman or something else. Won't get into what that something else is, but yeah, that's those are my abilities. The only problem with my abilities, I can't turn them off or on. So when it happens, it happens. And it seems to happen. Sometimes it seems to happen at the oddest times. Like, I could just be walking down the street and I will see a spirit like right in front of me in the middle of the day. I can be standing in my balcony. I could see one walking down the street. It just happens whenever it happens. If I walk into a location, a haunted location, sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. I guess it's depending on the energy in the place or the energy of the spirit, on depending how strong they are. Really, for me, like, even watching a video, it doesn't happen very often, but when it does, it's pretty strong. Like, for example, I was on a podcast last week and I saw it right beside this person that was also on the podcast, and I told him that she's standing right beside you. It was his wife that recently passed about 4 or 5 months ago, and for some reason I kept on picking up sorry, and that actually meant something to him. So it was definitely interesting. So really, for me, it really started when I was about 9 or 10 years old, and I really had my very first experience on being touched by a spirit when I was about 15 years old. I had a good friend, his grandmother passed away. I went to see him about 3 weeks after her passing, and we were sitting in his bedroom, and I felt what seemed like a hand on my wrist, and then a head leaning against my shoulder. and it lasted for about 30 seconds and disappeared. Now, I know most people say when they're touched by a spirit, it's usually a cold feeling.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it was a very warm feeling, a very loving feeling. And what was interesting about all of that is his grandmother used to do that to me when she was alive.
Mm.
So we
Well, that was her way of letting you know it was her.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said, it lasted about 30 seconds and then it was gone. It was almost like her saying goodbye.
Hmm.
And during that whole time, I was telling my buddy that something's touching me. And he didn't believe me. He thought I was, he thought I was kidding. And I said, dude, look right beside me. There was an actual indent in the bed
Mm.
right beside me. And when it disappeared, that indent was gone.
Well,
And yeah,
looking
so
at the two of us, you're looking at close to 120 years of paranormal experiencing. So, what do you do at 9 years of age when you have your first experience? Who do you tell? How do you tell? How is that met? Was it reinforced or?
well, the problem with that is back in the 70s, and that's when I was 9 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it wasn't looked upon very nicely.
Right.
It was taboo.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't talk about it. I think the only people I really talked about it to was my friends, and they all thought I was crazy. My parents never really knew. My parents were not believers. They thought anybody that could do that belonged in a loony bin, and so you kept quiet. And I think that's I've been told by several mediums the one of the reasons why it's probably my abilities are the way they are is because of the negativity that I heard growing up about spirits.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't come from a great home, unfortunately. So every time, and it's funny because every time I see a spirit, the first thing that pops in the back of my head is it's not there. It's not there. That's not, it doesn't exist. But that's my parents talking. And I've had a couple of mediums tell me that they believe the reasons I'm unable to see the facial features and hear them, and I can only see the shape and like basically what I see is like a full body apparition. It's black.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a shadow. Like some people say shadow people, right? I like it's black and it's solid,
Right.
kind of, I guess. Well, it's not really solid. It's more like a black translucent kind of type of thing. But so they think the reason that because I've had a couple of mediums tell me that my abilities are very, very strong. It's just that negativity, it's in the back of your head, is what's blocking you from really bringing it out. But I don't think I don't think it's something I'm ever going to get rid of, that negativity. I've tried many different ways, but people have tried to help me, but it's just one of those things where I think it's always going to be there in the back of my head. And unfortunately, I just can't get rid of it. So, and, so as the years went on, I really became interested in the paranormal.
Mm-hmm.
As you guys know, I'm sure there wasn't a lot of information out there, especially in libraries. There's probably maybe 2 or 3 books at most.
Mm-hmm.
So it was more like talking with people, just finding out different things and researching the best you can, whether it was through newspapers or whatever, talking with people. But so I really tried to do as much as I could on research regarding myself, but again, there wasn't a lot out there. So, and unfortunately, I didn't have a lot of people around my circle that
Right.
were into the paranormal. So, and I guess over the years, it just became a bigger and bigger passion of mine. And I guess about 10 years ago is when I really started going out on paranormal investigations with local groups here in the Toronto area. And that's where it all really began for me for paranormal investigation. So it was around 10 years ago. And then during the middle of COVID, or the beginning of COVID, I decided to create my own team. And that's when Huntophobia was born.
Mm.
So, tell us about Huntophobia. What does the team consist of?
Me. Me. Well, at
And how many faces does Sybil have?
I have 5 personalities.
Oh, okay.
And
Well, that's a
no,
good team.
no, just kidding. But at the beginning, there was me, a friend, a guy that ended up becoming a friend. He was coming out with me, and we had a couple of camera people. Unfortunately, as we all know, when it consists of teams, sometimes you're not always on the same page. And unfortunately, I was able to go out a lot more than they were able to, so I ended up started going out by myself. And if I didn't go out by myself, I would hook up with somebody else that was in paranormal investigation. So I was really collabing with a lot of people, and and I still do that now. I don't really go. Obviously, everybody knows it's in the paranormal world. It's not safe to go out on your own. I get it. I've been to a couple of locations where I have been on my own, and I would never do that again, because and I'm not one to get scared. It takes a lot for me to get scared, but these 2 locations I went by myself. Yeah, I wouldn't go back and do them again by myself. That's for sure. At one location, I was filming, and I was hearing footsteps on my right, footsteps on my left, footsteps on my right, and it felt like they were surrounding me. And so it was really scary, and I lasted about another 5 minutes and I left. So, but I've been to that location like 6 or 7 times, but I've been always with other people. So I wanted to try it once on my own to see what it was like. And yeah.
Okay, now you've been there, done that.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And won't do it
And
again.
you're a trained, seasoned paranormal person. And,
Yes.
to that, I would just like to say, we know people who don't believe in this stuff that will go and literally trespass because they've heard and they don't believe and they want to prove to themselves it's wrong or whatever. And they've had various body parts literally handed to them doing so. And we've been woken up in the middle of the night because we've had to remediate what they brought back with them. So I just want to say to people out there, seasoned, not seasoned, we really would like you to go out and certainly not instigate and not be the only one out there, because even if you just trip and hit your head, it really is a buddy system type of thing.
Yeah, I would agree. If the 2 times that I did go out on my own, though, I text someone to let them know that I was at the location, and I told them that I would text them once I left the location. And if they didn't hear from me, call the police and get the police out there, and
So hopefully
because something's wrong.
So.
One of them on the kind of. But you know what? Honestly, it's a great location. It's a church. It's an abandoned church, and I don't know what's going on with this church, but it is full of activity. And I've even brought something home from there. Something followed me home, and I ended up taking her back. But she was looking for her son.
Was it a Catholic church?
No, it's one of those. It's one of those. I think it was a Presbyterian church.
Okay, Presbyterian is an offshoot of Catholic.
Yeah,
okay.
And so is mine, because I'm Anglican too. So
okay.
So I mean, we could talk about that down the road. Maybe that's something that we can shed some light on. But I'm glad that you don't do that anymore, because you seem like a nice guy and you're doing a lot for the field.
Right.
And
I'm trying. I'm trying.
Yeah, well,
I'm trying.
That's 95% of it is showing up, right?
Yeah, for sure. I love churches, and I'm not big on the whole graveyard thing. I'm not one to go to graveyards. Like, I probably, in my time of paranormal investigations, I think I've been to 5.
Right.
and graveyards are just not my thing. But churches, on the other hand, yeah, those are pretty cool. Those are pretty cool to do, and I really enjoy those. But yeah.
Mm.
And so you're at the point now where you've got a biannual ghost hunt, right?
Yes.
Global
Yes.
ghost hunt.
Yeah, Global Ghost Hunt started. The planning started last April. I was
April.
with another event, and I was probably with them for about a month, and it just
Mhm.
wasn't a good fit for me.
Mhm.
So I decided to leave. And before I left, I was talking to a couple of friends of mine, AJ and Matt Barron.
Mhm.
AJ with Talk with the Source, and Matt Barron with um, Paranormal Consultant. I talked to them about starting my own, and they said it was a great idea. But I wanted to do things a lot different than the other event. And for one, the biggest thing was I wanted it to be more than just one day. I
Mhm.
Right.
think I think I think one day is just not enough. So
Mhm.
that's originally I thought 7 days. I would do it for 7 days, but then somebody said, "Well, why don't you do it for 10 days?" So I said, "Okay, sure, we'll do it for 10 days." And that's when really all the planning started. And it was a year. It was a year of planning, and it was
Mhm.
a lot of work. And if I knew then what I know now, I might have reconsidered. But it ended up being very successful. Uh, uh, a lot of we had 23 live streams of investigations. So
Nice.
we're hoping for October that we'll have double, and that will just continually grow every year. And eventually what I want to do, and it's common knowledge, but eventually what I would like to do is separate all the divisions. So I'd like to have a North American division, I'd like to have a Europe division, I'd like to have an Australian division, and they're
Mhm.
actually setting up their own global ghost hunt.
Nice.
And for it to happen now, there's a lot for me to consider when I'm doing that, because it's probably going to have to be more than 10 days. It's probably going to have to probably be the month.
Mm.
But that's what we're working towards, is to be actual global. And it did extremely well. Like, we had an investigation in Australia, we had one in Ireland, we had some in the UK, we had a lot in North America, and it just turned out really good. I was overwhelmed by the amount of views and reactions we got for the first one.
Mhm.
And we're going to do it again.
Mhm.
We're doing it again in October 19th till the 29th.
So people can just find all about the event at your .com there, Global Ghost
Yeah,
Hunt.
www.globalghosthunt.com,
Right.
and you can go over and register your team. You want to put in your haunted location that you're doing.
Mhm.
We also have something over there as well, that if you have a haunted location and you want to be a part of it, we have a section where you can just sign up your haunted location, and we'll try to find you a team. If not, the location can find themselves a team. We also have volunteers, so because eventually, further down the road, we will need a lot more volunteers
Right.
coming on board and helping. We have a few now. Uh, we had some for the first one that have now moved up to, some of them have moved up to team leaders now.
Mhm.
And so it's going extremely well. But again, it's a lot of work.
And in your spare time.
I don't, you know what? I'll be honest, I don't have a lot of spare time. I
Well,
really
but
don't.
in your
Yeah.
spare time, you do something that's very close to my heart, and that is you interview different paranormal teams and
Yes.
bring them out so that the public can learn more about how everybody does investigations,
Yeah.
uniquely, and this way people can find their own fit. So tell me about that a little bit, please.
Yeah, I have a vodcast that's called Through the Lens with Bryan and Lex. This started about 2 years ago. Basically, what it is we bring up YouTubers that are looking to grow their channel, and
Mhm.
we bring them on the show to interview them, because, like I said to you guys earlier, before we got started, that this is really about learning about the investigators, because really when you're watching a video, you're not really learning about them. You're only watching their paranormal investigation. So this was mainly about bringing YouTubers up and learning about them as people. And so this would give you a better idea when you went over to watch one of their videos, that you knew who they were as people. And, we've had some really, really good successes on people that came on the show and were looking to build and got to that 1,000 subscriber mark. And, I think of a couple of shows. Like I was talking to Rob from the Patrol. They were at around 650 before, when they came on the show. I think it was about a week and a half later, they were at 1,000.
Nice.
So it really got them out there. I think of another one. I don't know if anyone's familiar with them, but it's called Jenny Love TV Paranormal. She was around the same number. She came on the show and she grew, and she hit that 1,000 mark. So really, we're bringing them on to learn about them, but we're also bringing them on so their channel can grow. Because really, and me and Lex always say this on the show, that, we're tired of these people that are faking videos that are getting hundreds and thousands of views, when we have these real paranormal investigators doing real paranormal investigations that are getting 20 views.
So tell me about Lex.
Lex is Lex. I could put Lex in one simple word: no filter. Well, two simple words: no filter. He has no filter whatsoever. Lex says what he feels, but
There's a lot to be said for that.
Yeah, but keeping in mind, he doesn't do it in a nasty way. He does it in a nice way. But he's definitely a great guy. He's turned out to be a really, really super good friend, a best friend. And I was out in the UK last year filming with him for the month of I was there in March of last year, and we did 14 days. We did 11 investigations.
Wow.
Now the UK strikes me, from what we've experienced and what I've heard, to be a very reserved, proper type of environment. How does that work with a guy with no filter?
Yeah. Well, I think it's because the city he lives in, all of them are quite young. He lives in Milton Keynes. So, but no, Lex is. I think Lex knows when to. I kid about Lex having no filter.
Okay, yeah,
he's really a great guy, but he doesn't have a filter at all. But he knows when to use it and when not to use it. Let's put it that way. But Lex is a super guy. He's only been in the paranormal industry for about 3 years. And he does wonderful videos. He's got some wonderful videos up on his YouTube channel. If people want to check it out, it's Lex Paranormal. He's got some good investigations up there. In fact, he's already released one video from our UK tour last year. I'm still in the process of editing them, but those will eventually come out.
So that's LEX
Paranormal,
and is that a .com?
No.
Okay.
No, it's Lex Paranormal. That's his YouTube channel.
Oh, okay. So that's on YouTube.
Yeah, that's his YouTube channel.
Great. Okay.
Yeah, well, if he keeps on going the way he's going to be one of the top paranormal investigators in the industry.
Well, there's a lot to that, and a lot of it is being able to communicate that level of honesty with the audience. So more power to the two of you.
Yeah, and one thing people say about us two being together when it comes to our show is it just works. It just works. I'm the one that controls it a little bit when it comes to toning it down and not getting out of hand and stuff like that. And he's the one that is well, I have to control him a little bit from, I always tell him before we go on the show, I go, okay, so, let's bring it down a little bit. But, it's funny because we brought up a new segment to the show about 3 months ago, and it's called Fakers.
Mm-hmm.
So that's at the end of our show. Now, Lex really, really enjoys this segment because he gets to call out the fakers. And so he really, really enjoys that. And there's a few people he likes to call out a lot. So that are terrible for our industry, to be honest. But he loves that part of the show. And I don't blame him because it's a good part of the show. He does well at it. He does well calling out the fakers because he just doesn't say they're faking. He actually gives a reason why they're faking. He will actually give an explanation in a video on how this was fake. And so he really, it's not about just saying, oh, well, this person's faking and that's it. He gives reasons why they're faking.
So you guys are like the paranormal Penn and Teller.
Interesting. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, that's what they do. They have that fool us, and the people come on and they basically, without giving away the actual secret, they'll let the person know that they know how it was done.
Well, no, he calls out names on the faking part.
Yeah,
no, the names are brought out on the faking part.
But in magic, you really don't want to expose a trick. It's sort of a magician's code.
True. This is true.
So, but it's obvious that they know, and the person knows that they know, and So yeah, it's
great. Lex is awesome, and he's like I said, he's turned out to be a super, super great friend. And how we met was we started following each other on Twitter because he's more of a Twitter guy than anything else. He's not really a Facebook person or Instagram. He's mainly Twitter. He was releasing a video, his first video, and I reached out to him and gave him support and told him, don't worry about what people think. Just put out your video. I gave him words of encouragement, and he released the video, and we've been friends ever since.
Wonderful. Well,
yeah.
When you click, you click. It's kind of like us. I mean, you remind me, your dynamic sounds a lot like our dynamic because in my mind, I'm right there with no filters, and then sometimes going in, there's minors here, so we need 8 filters, so I'll slap those in and walk a little sideways, but I walk a little sideways anyway.
It works.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. It just works. And that's one thing people say is there's really no explanation for it. It just works. And we've done extremely well, and we enjoy it. It's more the fun factor. We're not looking to make the show have hundreds of thousands of, subscribers or viewers or whatever. We just enjoy talking to these people about paranormal investigations and getting their name out there in some way or some form. And if they have a good time, we have a good time, then it's a great show.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it sounds like, you're dedicated to supporting the up and comers.
Yes.
And that's wonderful because a lot of the established people have tremendous egos. And, you sneeze wrong in front of them and they'll pout the rest of their lives about you.
Yeah.
So, the up and comers
is a big problem in this industry. It really is. I consider myself a very humble person. I'm one of those people that think about other people first before I think about myself. I think I've proven that with everything that I've done, especially with Parapost Network and Global Ghost Hunt. It's about showcasing these teams. It's about showcasing these amazing locations that seem to be disappearing every single year. And
Mhm.
that's why I started the Global Ghost Hunt, because of the locations disappearing, for whatever the reason may be. It might be vandalism. They're unable to keep it open because it's expensive. And,
Mhm.
and I understand a lot of people understand what the premise of owning a location is, but I really don't think they understand everything behind it sometimes. Like, these people have to pay property taxes. These people
Mhm.
have to, whatever they need to do to keep this business open, it costs money. So sometimes when you're going into a location, you go, wow, that's expensive. Well, sometimes there's a reason why it's expensive, because of, of the location, or of the property taxes, or where it is, or the electricity, if they're keeping the electricity on, or whatever. All these factors are involved. So really, the Global Ghost Hunt was really about the preservation of the locations, and getting these locations out there in the world, because we had some locations with the Global Ghost Hunt that I'd never heard of, other people had never heard of, and now people have heard of them now. And our goal was for these paranormal investigation teams that were watching the event, now calling up the place and going, I saw you on Global Ghost, and I'd love to book your location. And that's what it's all about. And yes, it was about showcasing the teams, but it was more about the locations.
Well,
Because
and
we have
one thing you
tons
didn't
of paranormal
mention,
investigators.
I'm not sure what a challenge is on the northern parallel, but then there's insurance.
Mhm.
Yeah, of course. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, down here,
Yeah.
insurance is like throwing people out of business left and right, which, is
Yeah.
unfortunate because there's a lot to be learned in these investigations, and
Yeah.
particularly if you have someone that can sit down with some of these people. I mean, a lot of what we do is transition people from what some people would call limbo into the light.
Mm. Yeah.
And, I mean, when you have a child that's been around for 80 years because he was told he was going to hell because of what somebody did to him, and you can help him get to the light, that's golden for me. But, it's all about healing for us. And I think it
Yeah.
is for you too.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. And it was really really important for me to make it clear for this event on what the goal was. And the goal was to make these um not known locations a little more popular,
Mhm.
and understanding that you don't always have to go to the Waverly Hills, you don't always have to go to the Penhurst, you don't always have to go to those big locations, because there's a lot of small little locations that are just as haunted, if not more,
Mhm.
compared to these bigger ones. But what I was saying earlier, on the flip side of that, then with the money and stuff like that, but then on the flip side of that, then you have locations that are taking advantage of
Mhm.
the paranormal investigators. I won't get into any names, but there's a particular place that I went to last year in the States
Mhm.
that charges $600 for 5 hours.
Mm.
That's a lot of money. That's a
Yes.
lot of money. And especially when the business is still open twice a week. And the other days they do paranormal investigations.
Mm.
So, and because there was somebody very popular that went there years ago, they up the prices.
Mhm.
Now,
Mhm.
there's a lot of places out there that will do that if they have one of these big names coming to their location. All of a sudden, it went from $300 to $900.
Right.
So there are locations that are taking advantage of the paranormal investigators.
Mhm.
So, like, there's one place that's a fantastic place, and I get, on a scale of 1 to 10, I give it an 11,
Mm.
because from the moment I walked in, from the moment we left, there was activity. And that's Octagon Hall in Kentucky. It
Mm.
was it was an amazing place, and it was $300 for 14 hours.
Wow. Wow.
That's nothing. And
Right.
if you have 6 people, 7 people with you, it's great. But this other location, there was 6 of us, and at 5 hours, it cost us over $600.
Yeah.
And then when 12 o'clock arose, we got kicked out.
Oh.
So it's just, sometimes these locations, and it's not many, but sometimes these locations do take advantage of some paranormal investigators, especially when they've had a big name come to their location. So
Mhm.
it's not any different. It's just they had somebody with a big name come to their location, so there are places that take advantage. I will say that.
Mhm.
And
So,
then you have the third type of place that has just faked everything and successfully,
yeah,
and they trying to
unfortunately,
get their name out there, and
yeah.
they pay their way to get a certain level of publicity,
Yeah,
and
I
then
always find it, and I made a comment the other day to somebody. I always find this really funny. Do you ever find that when you're seeing thumbnails or on Facebook or whatever, and people putting up their thumbnails for their investigation, the most haunted place, the most haunted house in the States?
Right.
It's like everything seems to be the most haunted. And so going along with what you're saying there, I've been in places where they said it's extremely haunted, and there was nothing. There was
well,
nothing.
the fun for us at this point is, if somebody questions us, say, well, let me give them a call, see if they'll let us in. And if they let us in, then it's real.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
most of them won't, particularly those places. There was
yeah.
one place we were told to bring iron. And,
Yeah.
and I said, iron? What do you got, fairies? And yeah, the fairies are vicious.
I'm like,
Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
I was
yeah.
like, okay, well,
I was in a place last year where you had to sign a waiver, to, if anything happens to you,
Mhm.
if anything demonic happens to you,
uh-huh.
that we're not to blame. And I was sitting here reading it, I go, you got to be kidding me. So, and that was just an indication that there's probably nothing really there. They're
Mhm.
just trying to make it look better than it really is. And by the way, this is one of the places where it's the most haunted house in the States. So, I would say there's something there. But then I always laugh because when you go on a tour with some of these tour guides that are going through,
Right.
some of the stories that come out of their mouths is like, my God, that's incredible. Like, I can't believe, why didn't you capture it on film? Oh, well, I didn't happen to have my camera with me. Did you have your phone with you? Yes. Well, you got a camera in your phone. So, it's just, I understand the tour guides are there to bump it up, to
Right.
make it sound more scary or more creepy, but they're not helping either. But I went into this one place last year, and it was like I heard nothing but this place is overly run by spirits. And I think, honestly, on a scale from 1 to 10, I probably would have given it a 2.
Mm.
So, but that's typical. That's typical in our industry.
And then
Um,
there's the spin, because, every entity that we've come up on, and we've come up on a pretty good variety, um, they're all pretty reasonable as long as they understand that you're coming in with respect.
mm,
And, I was in one very commercial area, and they were talking about how this horrible ghost almost killed this girl by dropping the upper bunk bed on her. And I said, "Oh, what happened?" He said, "Well, it scared her, and she jumped up and then tried to kill her." And I said, "Well, what if the ghost knew the bed was going to collapse, and that was the only way it could get the girl off the bed so she wouldn't die?" "Oh, you think?" I says, "Yeah, that's generally what my experience is, but
mm,
you know,
yeah,
most
yeah.
people will spin it your way."
Well, it's interesting. I go to a place out here. It's outside of Toronto. It's probably about an hour and a half from Toronto. And every time I go there, I'm always capturing amazing evidence.
Mm.
And I really don't understand why it's not on the top 10 of most haunted places in Canada, because it's absolutely incredible. It's called the Streaming Tunnel. And it's just incredible, some of the evidence that I've captured there. And it's not in the top 10.
Mm.
But there is a place on there that's in the top 10 that shouldn't be in the top 10, because
I
I've
hear you.
been to the location And I've been to the location a few times, and there's absolutely, it doesn't even compare to the streaming tunnel. It's just, I always wonder who does the top tens or whatever. But yeah, I just our industry is very, very interesting at times. Very, very
Interesting is a
interesting.
good word.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
one of Glenda's favorite words.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is my favorite.
It's very
It's
interesting.
very interesting.
Yeah. Some days it's quite humorous when you're going
Mhm.
through your timeline and seeing certain things and going, really? Like,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah.
So speaking of interesting, what's on your bucket list?
Oh, that's a fantastic question.
Well, that's why I get the big money.
Wow. The number one spot that I would love to go to would have to be Suicide Forest in Japan.
Mm.
Why is that?
It's just
I'm not familiar with it.
the mystery of it.
Mm.
Why are people traveling thousands of miles to go to this forest and commit suicide?
Yeah.
Why? And there's so many different interesting things about this forest that just fascinate me. And I think that it's definitely my number one spot. My number two spot, and not a lot of people have heard of this place, and that would be the Dead City in Egypt.
Mm.
I don't know if you're familiar with the Dead City.
The City of the Dead?
City of the Dead, the Dead
Yes.
City.
Yeah.
For your audience, basically, it's people living in tombs,
Right.
and there's over 1 million people that live in this city, and they all live in tombs. And I think it would be an absolutely amazing place to go to. I had a friend that was actually planning on doing a documentary there, and when he got into the cab, he said to the cab driver, "Can you take me to the Dead City?" And they go, "No,
Huh?
we won't take you there." So he ended up having to pay him like almost $200 extra to take him
Mhm.
there, but he would only drive him halfway. So yeah, he ended up having to walk the rest of the way. But that's another place I'd love to go to. And Egypt itself, I'd love to go to, just because of the pyramids.
Mm.
It's one of those things where a lot of people have a lot of questions, and I'm the type of investigator that likes to find the answers.
Good. Good. Now tell us about your event, part two, that's coming up in October.
The global
Yeah.
it's between October 19th and the 29th.
Mhm.
We're getting teams signed up now. Teams are
Mhm.
starting to sign up, so we're hoping that we're going to have double the amount that we did for the May event.
Right.
So we're the great thing about the October event is people aren't waiting for a year,
Right.
because some people were waiting for a year for the May event. This is just it's a quick turnaround. So really it's about getting the teams and the locations. We already have some locations that have signed up that, again, that are not popular locations.
Mhm.
We have some locations that are coming back, like the Victorian View venues coming back. We have Gilchrist County Jail that's coming back. We have a Genesee Orleans Regional Arts Center. It's coming back.
Mhm.
Hopefully, we'll get a team in there. But really, it's really about just building,
Right.
building the event and getting it bigger and better. And eventually, again, like I said earlier, we will split off the divisions, and each like North America, the UK, or Europe and Australia will have their own event during the same time. So really, at the end of the day, it's just about building it bigger and better. We got new things coming to the website that it's going to make it more user friendly for the people that are signing up. Eventually, we're going to have a couple of different packages for
Mm.
the paranormal investigators, and then I'm hoping eventually the website will be interactive, which means that people will be able to go to the website, sign up, and then be able to talk with each other, like talk to the admin team, talk with other teams, talk with other, whatever, other locations, whatever. So the website will eventually be interactive. and with obvious, people love talking over social media.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that could be a good thing, sometimes that could be a bad thing. But we just want to make it a lot easier for the people that are signing up. Something we are working on now is a directory, which means that our location team leaders are putting together a directory of all the locations across the world, and then we'll put that up on the website. And if a team goes to the website, they don't know where they're going to investigate, they can actually find one in their area. So
Mm,
they'll click on that, and then it will automatically go into the registration, and that will be their location that they're going to investigate for their day or their night. So that's going to eventually come along over the next year.
mhm,
And so it's just going to be, it's what you're seeing now. I would say in about a year's time is going to be completely different.
mm. Okay.
Well, what I love about the opportunity that you're creating and doing it biannually is there are certain locations I only want to be there a certain time of year,
Yeah.
or I'd rather be there a certain time of year. So,
Yeah.
it's nice if you're in a place where it's going to be summer. And I realize you're basically in spring or fall,
Yeah.
the way you've got it set up. But even so, there are certain places I don't want to be at the end of hurricane season. Yeah.
Well, that's depending where you live, right? But
Right.
and
Well, it's
also,
it's where the venue is.
yeah, well, yeah, well, it's all over the world, right?
Right.
So it's depending on where you are. But and I didn't mention this as well. Eventually, what we'll do is it will end up being maybe 3 to 4 times a year
Mm,
instead of twice a year, for obvious reasons, because of the once we split off the divisions, there's going to be a heck of a lot more teams that are signing up. We had 23 in the first one. We're hoping to have double in the second one. By this time next year, we could have between 1 to 200.
right.
And so me saying earlier that I might have to stretch it out a few more days, instead of having it 10 days, it might have to be 14 days.
Mhm,
But eventually, once we split off those divisions, it's probably going to have to be the month.
mm,
And but and we'll have these various different locations, and hoping, or the team is hoping, the admin team and myself, we're hoping that these locations just are going to flourish, and they're going to get a lot more paranormal investigators out there. There was, like I said earlier, there were some locations in May that I'd never heard of. I'd never heard of the Dumas brothel.
mm,
I'd never heard of that place. And it was a great investigation for Michael Wong from PN Paranormal. There was another place, the Radio Music and Technology Museum, I think it was called. Never heard of this place, and it did extremely well. So the again, the goal of the Global Ghost Hunt, yes, we're showcasing the teams, but really at the end of the day, it's about the locations. It really is. And hope we're hoping that these locations are just going to come and come and come and come and say, we want to be part of this, we want to get there, we want to get our name out there, and that's what it's all about. And that's, you know I don't I know this is used a lot, and I'm not saying I'm not a fan of it, but I hear it a lot, and that's para-unity.
mm,
And it's a nice word, it's a good word. There's a lot of people who follow it, there's a lot of people that don't, and that say they do. But this event, really, for the first one, and I say this because it really was, the first event was about all of us working together.
mhm,
It was about para unity, it was about the locations and the teams coming together. Like, during the event, some of these teams were watching the other teams investigate and supporting these teams. And then they were up 2 nights later doing their own investigation, and those teams were supporting them.
mm,
So we had a lot of support for everyone. And, there were some investigations. If you go over on Global Ghost Hunt Facebook page, some of these investigations got over 100 shares.
wow.
So really, it was about everybody working together. And that snuck up on me.
Mm,
I didn't even realize that was going to happen, and it did. Everybody worked together. Everybody was supporting each other. Everybody was sharing each other's videos. It was a nice thing to see, instead of all the drama and the egos that we see all the time.
Mm.
And but again, like I said, that snuck up on me. I never ever thought about that. And once I saw it happening, it was overwhelming, and it was a lot of fun to watch a lot of these investigations, because there were teams in there that were part of the global ghost hunt that were watching other teams investigate. And that was just an incredible thing to watch.
Sounds like you had a great time.
And for
Yeah,
me,
it was.
para-unity is a concept of that you've described, where people are supportive as opposed to trying to top someone else or discredit someone else. But a lot of people think para-unity is, okay, you have to ask the question this way and use these words. And I've been on investigations where sources come to me and said, okay, ask this way. And if source tells me that, guess what? I'm going to ask it the way I'm told to ask it by a higher authority.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that's important to realize.
Well,
people.
I also believe that I think para-unity means different things to different people.
Mhm.
And para-unity to you might be completely different to what it means to me.
Right.
And that's the beauty of this world. We all have different opinions and different ideas and different concepts on how we deal with things. The unfortunate part about that is that there's people in there that are preaching it left, right, and center, and it's all about themselves. And it's about their egos. It's about and I said that, and I said this, I think I said this last year. It always amazes me that people that are getting new into the paranormal world, which I think is great. It's a good thing. But a lot of these people think that they're going to pick up a camera and they're going to be the next ghost hunters on TV. Unfortunately, it just doesn't work that way. And you've been on TV, LD. I've been an actor, and you're an actor. Or are you still an actor? Are you still doing acting? Or
I'm doing acting right now, pal.
okay,
I look like I'm having a good time, don't I? Not.
So I'm an actor here. I'm an actor here in Toronto, and where was I even going with that thought? I lost my train of thought there. You made me laugh there, and my train of thought went away.
Well, I think
I don't even know what I was going to say.
Business of show, as I call it. The business of show is not necessarily a straight line from point A to point B. There's a lot to it.
Yeah.
And, the more you get into it, the more you realize that if you're a good person and you treat everybody well, word gets out, and that's really how you get work.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
if
and I know where I was going with that now.
Okay, good.
Some of these people that start paranormal investigation automatically think as soon as they pick up a camera, they're going to become paranormal. They're going to be the next ghost hunters on TV. Just doesn't work that way. I really, truly believe that if you have a real passion for this industry, if you want those things to happen, they will happen. But the problem is, along the way, these people don't look so nice. So but that's unfortunately that is our industry, that is our field. I don't think we'll ever get away. We can preach para-unity all the time we want, and at the end of the day, I just think it is what it is right now, and the only way to get rid of those type of people is not associate with them, and just go on and do your own thing and have fun doing it.
Well, that's the key, right? The key is to have fun.
Yeah.
If you don't enjoy it, then just stay out of it, no matter what it is.
Yeah.
And if you're not in it for the right reasons, stay the hell out of it, because it will eventually eat you alive.
I believe
you
that.
start messing with the wrong stuff, and you're not going to know what hit you.
Yeah. It's like I said earlier in the show, it's definitely an interesting industry. It definitely is. It's one of a kind. That is for sure. It's funny because I thought I've been doing acting, like I've been doing. I was an actor in my early 20s, and I did extremely well at the acting industry, and I left. I left the industry, and it's only been in the last 4 or 5 years that I returned to the industry, and and I've done extremely well. I thought the acting industry was bad for the egos, but the paranormal field is 40 times worse. And you would think the acting would be worse than the paranormal field, but it's not. It's the complete opposite, which I always find very fascinating, because I'm running into a lot of people who have a lot of egos on set, and unfortunately, I'm not like that. I'm the type of person that'll walk on a set and become friends with everyone, and get along with everyone, and because really that's going to stand out more than somebody who's coming on the set with an ego. So.
Well, I think in my experience in acting, you have schools of acting like the Actors Studio and Uta Hagen and all of that, but you don't have the dogma that comes in and influences the paranormal. And people like to wield that dogma like a shield, and cling to it and use it, manipulate it, and what have you. So to me, that's sort of a main difference. We have about a couple of minutes left.
Yep.
Is there anything that we haven't dragged out of you that you want to touch on here?
Yeah, I will mention, a lot of people have been asking me recently, well, within the last couple of months, what's going on with huntophobia. So a lot of my videos do go up on YouTube, but a lot of my videos also go up on a streaming service called Paraflix. And I'm working on 3 episodes right now, and they will eventually be coming out. They will be going up on YouTube, and they will be going up on Paraflix. I'm working on those 3. They're from the States. One is Bobby Mackey's, one is Octagon Hall, and there's one more. There's one more. I can't think of the other one, what it is. I'm trying to decide if I'm going to put up White Hill Mansion. There is another one that I'm considering putting up as well. So yeah, those will eventually come out, and people have been asking me about my YouTube channel, and they will eventually be coming up on YouTube. Now, for example, the UK tour from last year, I have 11 videos to go through and edit. So those will eventually be coming out, and they will probably come out near the end of the year. So I will be putting them up on YouTube, and I will also be putting them up on Paraflix. Unfortunately, I can't put up the same video on YouTube that I do with Paraflix. They got to be 2 different videos. So they will be eventually coming out. So Matt is making jokes.
Yes.
Yes.
Matt will do that. But the bottom line is, how do you, if someone has a specific question or proposition for you, is there a way that they can reach out to you that is your preference?
What kind of proposition?
I don't give myself away on media, boy. For us, that's
you said you're a funny guy. I'm trying to be funny.
I understand, but I'm a funny guy, but looks aren't everything.
Okay.
If somebody has, wants to say, pitch an idea at you with backing for a show or whatever, are you open to that, or is there a way to reach
of
out
course.
to you?
If people want to reach out to me, they can reach out to me, support at globalghosthunt.com, or they can also reach out to me at huntophobia@gmail.com, or they can reach out to me at parapostnetwork.com, or parapostnetwork, or parapostn@gmail.com as well. We never even got into Parapost. So yeah, Parapost Network, Parapost. Have you guys seen the app? I have an app. It's called Parapost Network. Okay. Basically, it's an app you can download through iOS or Android, and it's a social media site for everything under the paranormal umbrella. So
Nice.
it is an app that you can download, and you have it up on your screen right now, parapost.net. You can actually look through it on your laptop as well. But you can have an app, and you just get through the Google Play Store or iOS store as well. So
Okay.
So
Parapost
for
Network
those
is
of you who
great.
are listening, you have your homework, and we've got to say goodnight.
Yep.
Please do stick around if you can for a couple of
Thank you.
moments, and
Thank
I'll
you. Thank
proposition
you
you.
for having me.
Thank you for
Thank you.
being had.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Bryan. Thank
Thank
you
you.
all that were here watching live and all those that are going to watch later. Many blessings. Stay well. Stay safe. See ya.